Kylie.
And I'm Corey.
And we are Lit Libations. Welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
I am so excited
for Francesca's story.
Yeah, this is my favorite one.
Yes, this one, there's a lot of new elements in this one that we haven't seen before. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
But different vibes, sad vibes.
Yeah, but also all around better.
Yeah, agree.
Everyone in this is like
more
significantly less toxic.
Yeah, Michael's fine.
Michael's honestly like...
Love him.
He's like... Okay, comparative to all the men that we've seen, he's honestly perfect.
Yeah. Okay, I would venture to say perfect as well.
I would say in our world, he's definitely got a couple red flags, but I would say in this Bridgerton world, he's perfect.
Get on it.
There's literally nothing wrong. I have no notes.
No notes. That's hilarious. Okay, before I get started, go join the Facebook group. Pause it. Open Facebook.
Please.
Go join it. It's called Lit Libations Lounge. There's only a couple of us in there, but it's just a casual way for us to interact with our listeners. So,
and Instagram, if you're feeling it.
Sure. Yeah, Instagram's a little sad, but it's fine. It's just not our best social. Either is Facebook, but I don't know. If you're on Facebook, go join.
It'll our best social, I think, is definitely TikTok.
Yeah, it's the most fun.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're reading chapters 1 through 12 today. I always forget to mention that.
Yeah. Oh, and we are reading. I was gonna put this. I've made a trailer for our last one. And I wanted to put like the book that we were doing, but we didn't actually say it in the beginning. We just kind of assumed.
Oh man,
we always say what we're doing next at the end of our last podcast, so people know, and it's obvious in the title. But I wanted to say it so I could put it in the thing.
Okay.
We are doing "When He Is Wicked" by Julia Quinn. Got to get a soundbite. Okay.
Chapters 1 through 12.
Chapters 1 through 12. Part 1. I can do that. That's good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not drinking anything today.
Yeah, no drinks today. It's 4th of July weekends, you know. A lot of fun in the sun.
Yeah.
A
lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
A lot of tubing. I don't recommend tubing past the age of
I was going to say
18. Yeah. No, tubing is so fun. We had a tube that was like lying down.
A flat one?
Yeah, I guess. Well, you could also sit in it too. It had like the things to sit, but also but you could go forward or sitting. And I was like, oh yeah, I got this. I had so much false confidence. I was like, I got this. Don't even worry about it. Like, watch me do my thing. And I was holding on. I was with another girl who, by the way, was like 16, 17. And I was like trying to, in my mind, I'm like, oh, physically, I'm there. Like, I got this. Physically, I'm 16, 17 years old. Like, I which is so inflated and awful and terrible of my brain because that's how I'm gonna get hurt one day. And and I was like holding on, and I was like practically crying, panicking, throwing up on the tube because I wanted to let go in the first 5 seconds, and she was just like, and I was
not even
like,
holding on.
And I was just like, I hate you. I actually hate you. I'm never going tubing with you ever again, or tubing ever again. And yeah, ever since then, my stomach's been like, Urgh.
Okay, 2 questions. Was the lake super busy?
It was incredibly busy.
So there's waves.
Oh my God. Yeah. When yes. Yeah. My body is tore up.
I was going to say, are you sore as well?
I am unbelievably sore. When I tell you my arms, I had trouble picking up my glass of water.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been this sore in like volleyball. I play 9 times, like roughly a week.
Yeah.
I have not been this sore.
It's different. You got to use different. You have to hold on for your life. You're like squeezing all your muscles.
For your life. At one point, I was arm locked straight. Like trying so hard. I almost got yeeted off like in the first 1 second where the tube gets straight. Like we were all turned and it whipped us around.
Oh, that's not good.
I almost whipped right off at that point.
You should have just let go. That's
should have just let go.
You shouldn't have any slack in that rope.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair. All right.
Okay. Sorry. That was long.
No, that was good. I love it. 4th of July weekend. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
Yeah. I hope it was good. I am drinking a Topo Chico today. It's just seltzer water. It's lime seltzer water. It's really good. Topo Chico. It's my favorite.
Topo Chico. Buy in stores today. All right. Let's get started.
All right.
Where we left off. No, just kidding. We're starting in chapter 1.
Wait, where we left off, Eloise
we left off, Eloise was marrying the worst man that has ever been matched to anyone ever.
Their stories kind of all overlap right here. Colin and Penelope and
you know what,
Eloise.
I loved that they did this.
Yeah.
However, I think this was an afterthought from Julia Quinn.
Yeah.
I feel like, but I love that she did it.
Yeah, I mean, Francesca got married before Eloise, but Eloise book came first, so she went back and wrote the details. She was like in London when Colin and Penelope were courting.
And we didn't hear anything about Francesca being in London.
And I feel like she was actually in Scotland in their book, because Eloise's excuse was, "I'm writing to Francesca."
Oh yeah. Plot hole.
Yeah.
Plot hole.
Plot hole. Oop, we got you. No,
and she was literally at the yeah.
She was in London trying to get married.
Shit. Julia, you're getting called out.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding.
It's not a big deal.
I actually don't mind it at all.
Yeah,
it's not like, it's not the plot hole that like defines any of it.
No, it really doesn't. It doesn't matter at all. I don't care.
All right, here we go. Chapter 1, motherfuckers. Okay. Obviously, again, these start with letters, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
This is a letter that Michael is writing to his cousin John, who is the Earl of Kilmartin, that the Napoleonic War is not so bad because there are women around. Just kind of setting the scene for his very rakish ways.
Yeah, he's super raky.
Yeah.
Is that?
We're going to make it happen.
Okay.
I'm not mad about this. All right, I had to direct quote this. I couldn't even like put this into a thing because it is what it is. In every life, there is a turning point, a moment so tremendous, so sharp and clear that one feels as if one's been hit in the chest, all the breath knocked out, and one knows, absolutely knows, without the merest hint of a shadow of a doubt, that one's life will never be the same. For Michael Sterling, that moment came the first time he laid eyes on Francesca Bridgerton. Iconic.
I love that he loves her right away.
I am actually obsessed with it. Period.
All right.
Michael had always been a very sly and rather cheeky rake, seeing women as a conquest, but never, ever, ever falling in love, never letting his heart, mix into the...
Yeah, his heart is like, here's a wall.
Yeah. Keeping the heart in the cage, not letting it... I don't know. This is stupid. I'm moving on. I can't metaphor this. It's too much. My brain's not working today. Okay. That was, of course, until he met Francesca Bridgerton, who was soon to be Francesca Bridgerton Sterling because she was betrothed to Michael's cousin, John, the Earl of Kilmartin. Michael was, for the first time in his life, madly in love, and it was to a woman, the only woman on earth he could never, ever have.
Ever.
He hid his feelings well. He laughed. He was merry. He raked among the town. He continued to seduce women to hide his feelings. He would often get women or seduce women that looked like Francesca.
Oh yeah,
which was super fucking weird.
It is really weird. Really weird.
Or if he couldn't, he would have sex with them while closing his eyes.
Yeah, and just
picturing her.
What is that called?
Disassociation.
Face fucking.
What is it?
Face fucking. Or fuck facing. No, cut that. No, it was from.
We need Urban Dictionary immediately.
It's from The Wrong Missy on Netflix. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
They talk about something like that. She's like, if you want to close your eyes and picture someone else, that's okay.
Okay.
And she had a term for it, which I don't know what it was.
That's kind of crazy. Well, I feel for him though, because he only met her a week before she was supposed to be married.
Yeah.
Which is, he didn't really even have a chance to woo her at all.
No.
John was like a brother to Michael. His family took Michael in after Michael's father died. Michael was at Kilmartin House in London, watching Francesca and John make eyes at one another, very clearly in love. John was an earl. I've said it 6 times. The family was very proud of this title. They have a shit ton of estates and they're super crazy rich.
And they're all called Kilmartin. So it's just
yeah, all of the houses. Yeah, because they were so proud of this title.
So Kilmartin, Scotland. Kilmartin, London.
Yeah. Kilmartin House here, Kilmartin there, Kilmartin House
everywhere.
Cottage here, Kilmartin, cottage carriage.
Kilmartin
carriage, all the things. Francesca was asking John what they should do for their second wedding anniversary. And John was kind of being like, I don't care, sweetie, kind of whatever you want to do. And then she asked Michael. She's like, Michael, what do you think we should do? He's like, what the fuck? And she asked him because she's like, well, you're often so merry. Like a merry rake. He kind of gets the title of a merry rake.
Yeah. He's always happy about it.
I guess.
It's just so charming. No one cares that he's a rake.
Yeah. Yeah. He tried to weasel out of this conversation saying it wasn't his anniversary. And she's like, yeah, I obviously don't know who I married. Like, she's like, I have no illusions on who I married, which is so
stabbing him right in the heart.
It's so awful because it's like, obviously, if he didn't love her and like we didn't know this, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But hearing it, I do a knife to my heart.
Yeah.
Obviously, this was a very difficult conversation for him to have with the woman he was in love with. He made a joke about not being suitable for marriage, and Francesca used that as a segue to push the idea of marriage on him. Mm-hmm. He quickly diverted by suggesting that the two go to Scotland. He didn't want to have to bear witness to this love fest, but Francesca was not so easily distracted when she had something on her mind. So she again pushed the idea of marriage and even suggested her sister Eloise as a suitable prospect. Mm-hmm. This is too much for Michael. He, at this point, was looking to John for help because John had just been hiding behind his newspaper. Yeah. Like just not paying attention at all. Well, kind of. He was paying attention. John cut in at this point and told Francesca, I think twice, that she's like, hey, listen, okay, he's his own man. He's going to do what he wants.
Why are you pushing this on him? It's really weird.
Like, girlie, you need to stop. Okay. After realizing she wasn't going to make any headway in this discussion, Francesca suggested a walk. John had a meeting that evening, so she asked Michael to accompany her. Of course, whatever Francesca wanted, Michael could never, ever deny her, especially when she smiled at him. As she was leaving to grab her coat, she made some sort of sexual joke to John about always being quick.
Oh, no.
Okay, that part was so weird. I was like, what?
Did she really?
Yeah. So he was like, I do remember it. John was like, make sure you guys are quick about it. It's almost 7, it's already late, like yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm always quick.
Oh.
And they like kind of had, and John blushed.
Oh, God.
And they had like this weird, like heated look at one another.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what?
There is a lot of that. And I mean, Francesca's very like.
No, sure. I'm not mad about the sexual innuendo. I'm upset about, are we just like, are we so happy about being quick? Like, I'm just confused.
Yeah,
I thought that wasn't like a good thing.
Is she finish quick or does she finish him off quick?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't know.
Still a weird thing to brag about.
Yeah. Or I think it's funny.
Is this what we're bragging about right now? Yeah, I get it. It's just I was kind of like, oh, I don't think I've ever heard it, like a couple or anyone really suggest, oh, I'm always quick. Like,
unless you're good at quickies. That's fair. That's a talent.
That is a talent. That's fair. Well, anyways, John apologizes to Michael when Francesca leaves, and the two discuss his meeting with the Lord of Liverpool, which is the appointment that John has to go to.
At like 9 p.m.
At literally 9 p.m. Yeah,
that's a late appointment.
It is a really. Wait, how long are they? Although I will say, I feel like it probably would have been at one of the bars or
like at a club or whatever.
Yeah, where they normally go and probably discuss business like that until probably 2:00 in the morning. I feel like that's pretty. I could
picture that.
Yeah, me too. Michael noticed that John didn't look great, but John said that he only had a headache and he just needed to lay down. When Francesca returned, she too noticed that John wasn't looking well, but he again reassured them both and said that it was just a headache and went to go lay down before his meeting. Chapter 2.
Oh no.
John was responding to Michael's letter that we just talked about the war, and he asked Michael to stay alive since he would not know what he would do without him. John obviously is stupid, filthy, fucking stinking rich. And Michael and John's fathers were brothers. They were twins. But John's father was born like 7 minutes before Michael's.
Oh, yeah.
So their families are very, very close, which is why when Michael's father died, John took in Michael and also took like kind of adopted in a sense, not just Michael, but Michael's mother, Helen.
Yeah.
And Helen and Janet, who is John's mother, are very, very close. And so when the war happened, So they basically grew up together. When the war happened, Michael ended up fighting in the war, obviously for England or Scotland or whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna. When the war happened, shit.
Actually, don't know.
Stupid, probably. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. When the war happened, they didn't specify that. Michael went to go fight, and John did not because he had Earl duties. Because I'm pretty sure at that point John's father had died.
That makes sense.
And John always felt very, very guilty about it, not fighting in the war for his country, and so he gave Michael like a small estate.
Oh, okay.
And so it was just kind of a weird like. They both kind of felt bad for their walks of life in a sense.
Because it was the 7 minutes that determined both their paths.
Literally both their paths. Yeah, exactly. Like John felt bad for not fighting the war, but Michael kind of felt bad about that John felt bad. I don't know. And also was kind of poor in a sense.
John has all the stuff that Michael's always wanted because of a 7-minute thing.
Well, Michael doesn't even want it. Michael does not want the earldom. He does not want, no. He's never ever coveted.
Okay. All right.
We can talk about it more.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. But that's kind of the backstory about all of that. Okay.
All right.
Francesca is reflecting on how much she cares for Michael. He was a horrible flirt, but he was one of her dearest friends. She had always felt a little different from her family. Though she loved them dearly, she was more reserved and more, quote, careful with her words. She often wondered if that was why she loved John so much, because he removed her from the chaos of her family. It was more than that, though. She loved John with every ounce of her heart. He was one of the only ones who truly understood her, anticipated her, completed her. Their attraction had been instant. With John had come Michael, and she always loved how Michael never was envious of what John had.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He never, yeah.
I feel like he was, though. Well, I don't know. Maybe not like out now, maybe not like in a way that like changed anything, but I feel like you always looked to John like as a success, and he didn't have anything.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like it made him. Yeah,
it's like John has all this stuff, and what do I have?
Well, I feel like that was more the only time that it really seemed to like eat at him is because of Francesca, because Francesca seemed to covet like John's, like what maturity and like.
Maybe because of all the things that he has, and like, why would Francesca ever look at me? I don't have anything.
Well, not even. Well, no, not even because I feel like it's more just like yeah, you're right. Like he has a purpose. He had a path. Like he had a job and he had things that he had to do on a daily basis. But Michael really didn't. But I don't think he coveted the earldom. Right. Like he never wanted that.
All right.
Does that mean? Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of. I don't really know how to explain it.
I can see that. I'm just getting confused because of what happens later. But
okay. We can talk about that. During Michael and Francesca's walk, Francesca decided to press the marriage issue again. She's so insufferable sometimes. However, it's so annoying. However, after realizing that Michael was not going to budge, she shifted the conversation, urging him to tell her something wicked.
They have such a
wildly
weird
inappropriate
rapport.
Wildly inappropriate.
Right? Like, tell me about all the sex that you have.
Yeah.
In the brothels and shit.
Well, to be fair, so Michael had gotten into the habit of talking to Francesca, and to be fair, John was normally around.
Yeah.
For these conversations and enjoyed these talks of his inappropriate exploits. He wouldn't go into great detail about what they did.
He never did.
Yeah, but it was more so like the build up to it. And it was mentioned that John loved to hear about it just as much as Francesca did.
Yes, it's like a thing between the three of them.
But it's still wildly inappropriate that they're having this conversation between the two of them alone.
And did he think about that?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I feel like he's usually pretty good about that.
Yeah,
he always has John in the back of his mind.
Yeah, but they do explain. Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay. Getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I can't stop. I'm sorry. They have a bit of flirty conversation here that ends in them both confirming that she would never betray John. So so that's why I feel like it's okay. Like they feel like it's okay because she's like, I would literally never betray him. Like, and he's like, I know that's the only reason I tease you like this. It's still very weird.
It is kind of weird.
Michael is struggling during this conversation because for her, this feels like harmless, flirty banter, but for him, it's obviously more. They walk home and Francesca invites him in for a drink, but he declines because he can't spend more alone time with her. John's assistant comes down and says he knocked on John's door, but he wasn't waking up. He wasn't answering. And Francesca decided to go herself to wake him up, probably in a sexy way, for his meeting. And Michael stays to bid his cousin farewell for the evening. A few minutes after Francesca goes upstairs, as Michael is sitting in the foyer waiting for them both, he hears a loud, blood-curdling scream. Michael runs up the stairs and into John's room to find that John has died in his sleep. Francesca is inconsolable, asking Michael to wake John up and then muttering, he only had a headache.
It was a really sad scene.
It was honestly horrible. Michael and Francesca are both, Francesca is saying out loud and Michael is thinking about at the same time, why? Later, Michael is speaking to a member of the Committee of Privileges, and they are speaking about the succession of the earldom. And he is insisting that Michael ask Francesca if she's pregnant, because if she's not, then Michael is going to be the new Earl of Kilmartin. The way this guy is talking to Michael about Francesca is super sexist and rude, and Michael thinks so too because he pinned the appointee up against the wall and yelled at him to get the fuck out.
Oh my gosh.
After the appointee leaves, Francesca walked into the office where Michael was. She told him that they needed to inform John's mother, Janet, as well as Michael's mother, Helen, who are both in Scotland. I emphasize their names because they're going to be a pretty big part of the story. Janet and Helen.
Yeah, and I like them. Where are they at right now?
They're in Scotland.
Oh. Oh, okay. So they just need to inform the moms.
Yeah, they need to basically write their letters to them. And
yeah, she's always good about that. She's like, everyone's got to know. We got to write these letters.
Yeah, she's
about
a good
everything.
Wife.
Yeah.
Oh, so fun. Michael thought about how he never coveted John's title or his life outside of Francesca, obviously. He did kind of covet that.
He did.
Now he might inherit his life and his title without Francesca. Had he wished for this?
Okay. Yeah. So that's why I was like, he did want it, but he didn't.
Yeah. I don't know. This is weird.
It is.
I would not say that he did covet it at all.
No.
I think that it would seem that way maybe from an outsider's perspective. Like he's thinking about it that way.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
It's weird. It's just a weird dynamic.
Like maybe he feels like I coveted Francesca and like his life with Francesca, but I didn't ever want his title. Like I wanted her.
That wasn't the important part.
Yeah. Like he wished that he could step into his life for his wife, but not his title and earldom. You know what I mean? The guilt. Yeah. The guilt of this question pressed against him. He was about to ask Francesca if she was pregnant when she cut him off and told him that she was indeed with child.
Oh, geez. This is like a whirlwind of the first 3 chapters.
It's like so much. And it's sad. Chapter 3. Quote, I love him madly, madly. Truly, I would die without him. And this is from Francesca to Eloise 1 week after Francesca's wedding.
It's so sad.
Okay. Francesca was sitting in the drawing room at Kilmartin House with Janet and Helen. They had both taken residence at Kilmartin House after John passed. Obviously, they made the trek from Scotland.
So where are they at right now? In London?
They're in London.
Okay.
They had made the trek. What did I say? They'd made the trek from Scotland to Kilmartin House. Okay.
Yeah, but everything's Kilmartin House.
So so their residence in Scotland is just Kilmartin. The residence in London is Kilmartin House.
Okay. I just need a country or a city or whatever.
That's fair. Okay, I'll say the city. That's fair. They were doing their best to comfort and be there for Francesca, but she was having a very difficult time. The house no longer smelled like John, and even his presence seemed to be lacking. Michael had also been strangely distant from her as well. He had come by their house several times since John's passing, but he seemed to be going through the motions. Quote, his eyes were distant. This made her extremely sad as he was her biggest connection to John. They were a trio, her, John, and Michael, and the lack of Michael's comfort made her feel so much more alone. She wanted one thing to remain the same after John's death, and she wished it was her relationship with Michael.
Yeah.
Janet asked how Francesca was doing. Francesca had not been feeling any of the normal pregnancy symptoms save for fatigue. And that's what she means. She means in terms of her pregnancy.
Right. Oh,
I don't think
not
maybe
good.
Everything, yeah.
Not good.
Seems like an obvious question. Of course. She wished she had something to show that she was with child, but again, she was just feeling fatigue.
Okay.
But although she's literally only like at this point, I think 3 months.
Okay.
So like it's not completely abnormal to not feel all the pregnancy symptoms. Like it's not.
Yeah, everyone's different, right?
Yeah, everyone's different, but it wouldn't be abnormal for her not to feel anything but fatigue. Janet was excited that Fran was pregnant. It felt like a piece of John would still live on, and Francesca felt the same. Janet asked about Michael as well. Fran told her that it had been a few days since he's come by. They speak about how Michael misses John and how he could be the new Earl depending on if Fran has a boy or a girl. He would need to marry someone if he was the new Earl. Francesca was kind of snappy during this conversation. It seemed to annoy her that Michael's mourning affected their relationship or their friendship. And also the thought of him marrying someone so soon after John's death, like irritated her as well, which
everyone grieves different.
But also like, it wasn't like him and John were married. Like why,
right. I don't know.
Why can't he marry someone?
I don't know. It's like, you were just so about it. Oh.
Literally. Yeah, no, I know. It's a very weird conversation.
Whatever.
France felt especially tired, so she got up to go take a nap, and Janet gasped.
No.
On her seat, there had been a patch of blood, and Francesca had miscarried.
No.
Michael was sitting in his office thinking about John, feeling guilty for potentially being the next Earl. He wouldn't know for 6 more months, of course, but it was still a distinct possibility. He felt even worse for lusting after Francesca. It was why he had been even more distant with her since John's death. Michael's assistant had brought him a note, and it had been about Francesca's miscarriage. And as soon as he read it, he raced over to Kilmartin House as fast as he could in London. And
Thank you.
And when he got there, he panicked. He just completely panicked, like froze panicked. The realization that he would be the new Earl hit him like a bus. I know. Well, not a bus, a carriage.
A really big, like 10-person carriage.
Yeah, just like a giant carriage. They don't have buses right now. He also didn't know what to do to help Francesca, and he still felt guilty for loving her. His mother begged him to go see her, but he just couldn't face her. So he left.
There was an interesting part in those chapters after John died about, like, you know, who is going to be the next Earl if she's pregnant. And there was a lot of harp on the baby. And I don't know who it was, like the guy that was saying he needed to keep an eye on Francesca to make sure that she's actually pregnant.
Yeah.
So they didn't like swap a baby and like fake it.
Yeah, or like if he had a girl, or if Francesca were to have a girl, like he mentioned, be there at the birth.
Yeah,
because they could easily swap a boy.
Yeah, that and to make sure that she actually miscarried, which was like a crazy.
They had to save the sheets.
Yes.
Although I don't know why they would fake a miscarriage. That doesn't really make any sense.
I don't know. I thought that was interesting because there was a lot that could.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like
happened.
if they have someone who's so diligent about these things, clearly they happen. I mean, it feels like for me as a reader looking at it, I was like, why? This doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they do these things? Whatever. But obviously, they had to have happened before.
Yeah, which is interesting. I liked it.
I couldn't. Oh my god,
it sucked.
I guess we kind of see a little bit of that in the show.
You do?
When it comes to the Featheringtons, because she's urging, when Lord Featherington passes, they have the whatever guy come in, and he has the Lady Featherington chases him off, and then they're like, oh, in order to keep the line of succession with Lady Featherington and for her to keep the money and all these different things, she had to, or one of her daughters had to have a son.
Okay,
so she lied and said that that her 2 daughters that were married at that point were pregnant, and she's like, oh, they're probably boys, and they ended up both being girls. But then Penelope had a son, like right after, and after the girls had their daughters, and so they did end up having the line of succession go to Penelope's son.
Dang, that's crazy.
It is kind of crazy.
It is. So much pressure for sons.
For so much. And it's the male who determines that, not the female.
Damn.
Why did I say male and female? Are we like animals?
It's 1800s. We're stuck in 1800s. I don't know. All right.
It's modern science. I could have just said man and woman. Like, what the fuck am I doing?
Chapter 4. Eloise tells Francesca in a letter that marriage surely isn't all encompassing, that the loss of one would destroy the other. This was 3 weeks after Francesca's wedding. Damn. The following month was hell for Michael. Every my lord he endured, and every document he had to sign, it was as if John's spirit was being pushed away. Everything that John had was now Michael's, except for Francesca, of course. At this point, he wants to keep it that way. When he tried to see her, she would just turn her head and stare at the wall. The scene of her miscarriage was gruesome, and they had to save the sheets to prove that she had lost the baby. Oh, okay. I wrote that down. But even that wasn't enough. This Lord Winston fellow would keep an eye on her to make sure she wasn't pregnant in case she tried to get around the laws of primogeniture.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Let me look that up. Oh, so primogeniture is the state of being the firstborn child. Also, maybe she could have stole a child and been like, look, that's my boy.
For firstborn child or son?
It says child.
Interesting.
I don't know. Okay, moving on. Francesca calls on Michael at his apartment very unexpectedly. She tells him she misses him and why has he been avoiding her? Where did you go? I needed you. And he can't answer. He says he doesn't know about miscarriages and she needs to be talking to other women. It's like, I don't know what you want from me. I'm not a woman.
He handles it very badly.
Yeah, but she just wanted to talk to Michael. Her and Michael both shared a love for John, and she selfishly wanted Michael to share in her grief. She confesses she doesn't know what to do now. She's so angry that this is happening to her, and she's experiencing a lot of emotions, and it's a sad scene. She breaks down crying, and Michael holds her, which is comforting for both of them. And she asks, why'd you go? We can't go on like this with you ignoring me. She tells him the baby would have been his too, in a way. And he stops breathing at those words.
Yeah, that's a horrible thing to say.
Yeah. God, and it's so awful. When he says, what about your brothers, etc., she continues to insist she would have needed him. No one knew John like he did. So she just wanted to keep him around because like that was her connection to John.
And I think I definitely think that she was trying to, in a way, replace John with Michael, but not in a romantic way.
Yeah.
Filling every need non-romantically with John.
Yeah. She just needed help and she didn't know where to go. Yeah,
but also this is a very unhealthy
route
place to kind of like to go mentally, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
and I feel bad for Michael too, because he's like, this is obviously a terrible mix with what he's currently feeling.
Yeah. And it's all really bad for...
Yeah, it's a great way to say it.
I mean,
it's all really bad.
And they're in grieving and it just does not go well.
No.
He starts to panic and to shout and says, it wasn't my baby and I can't be what you need. Then he takes her by the shoulders, possessed, and says, I won't take his place. I won't. I put such contrast from Sir Philip.
Oh, because he married Marina.
Oh, right. And John could have been like, I guess I'll marry you.
Yeah.
But he refuses to do that.
Well, and I think the big difference here is that Philip didn't love Marina. And I honestly don't know if George and Marina loved each other. So that could have been a big difference.
Okay.
But since John loved Francesca, like very much, and then also Michael loves Francesca, like I can understand the guilt here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he feels guilty like the whole time. He eventually lets go of her and she says she'll go and they shouldn't see each other any longer. And he agrees. She wants him to ask her to stay. She gives him like 3 chances, but he lets her leave. Once she's gone, he starts chugging whiskey and feels ashamed. He didn't mean to hurt her, but he thinks there's no way he could have reacted any differently. Her saying the baby would have been his, in a way, had shattered his soul. It's clear she doesn't know of his feelings for her. Therefore, she can't understand how much he would hate himself for every step that he took in John's shoes. He couldn't be near her because she would keep saying things like that. So his solution? India. That's when he leaves.
Yeah.
Chapter 5. This is part 2. 4 years later, now we're in 1824. In a letter from Michael to Francesca, 1 month after he arrived in India, he tells her she would enjoy the ambiance, the colors, the spices, the gardens. Like, you would adore it here. Francesca wants a baby. She has mad baby fever. When Daphne's children visit, her home feels complete. When she sees a baby in the streets, her heart gives a pang. She'd grown comfortable as a widow and has found a pattern in her life in which she was content. When she had gotten over the shock of Michael leaving, she realized that him giving her freedom to run the earldom however she wanted, and it gave her something to focus on and something to work toward, and she no longer just stared at the ceiling. And she considered it a precious gift. Which is like also like really difficult to process. Like him leaving and then realizing, oh, that was actually a good thing.
Yeah. Also, what a fucking badass of Francesca.
Right.
To be running a whole ass earldom.
Right.
And like, honestly, no one knows. The only people that probably know is, Janet, Helen, and Michael.
That he's gone.
Francesca. That he's gone and that she's running it.
Yeah.
And
good for her.
In such a, like, she's like successful at this shit.
Yeah, she's doing really, and I think one of the moms says that a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's Janet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Maybe it's Helen. I don't know.
They're
both incredible.
They're interchangeable.
Women. Yeah. And they're both incredible.
Yeah, they are. She was happy mostly, but she wants a baby. She struggled for a while with her feelings of guilt and betrayal toward John, but is moving past it, and it's time to stop being afraid of the strangeness of it all. She decides she's headed to London a whole month early to find a husband. She was an eligible widow, and the rules were different. That's interesting, too, how it's different than when you go out for the first time.
Yeah, but she doesn't really act like it's different, which is so crazy.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Michael decides to return to Britain. It is long overdue. The novelty of the exotics was wearing off, although living and working in India had given him a purpose, which, phew, he got a purpose.
Everyone has a purpose.
Somehow he got a job working for the government in India within a month. Question mark, question mark? Whatever. India had brought a sense of balance to his life, so it's time to return to Francesca, where he could finally try to be the friend she had needed without feeling like he was stealing everything that John had lived for. He's finally used to being referred to as the Earl of Kilmartin without looking around for John, which is sad because every time he's like, someone's like, Earl, how do they address him? Earl, Mr. Earl Kilmartin.
Probably Lord Kilmartin.
Is it Lord?
I don't know. Probably.
I don't know.
Probably.
But anyways, anytime someone says that,
hey, Mr.
he'll
Earl.
like look around. Mr. Earl Kilmartin.
Mr. Earl Kilmartin.
He'll look around for John. And now he stops doing that. He's glad that he'll be arriving a full month earlier than the beginning of the London season. No chance at all of running into Francesca.
Not a one.
And if he was lucky, she wouldn't even go to London for the season. Meanwhile, at the London Kilmartin house, I clarified it in my notes.
So good.
Francesca forgot to notify the staff of her arrival, so they didn't have enough coal and beeswax for candles and fires, and she's cold. Her room is far too big to heat properly, even in like the best circumstances.
Crazy.
She can't sleep, so she decides to go to the library, which is a small enough room that would heat nicely if she shut the door. But when she opens the door to the library, Michael is warming his hands by the fire. Michael wishes he would have prepared himself better for their meeting so he could keep playing his role of Mary Rake or whatever. Francesca is surprised and asks why he didn't write to give notice of his return. And he says, to you? Write to you? And we learn here that she hadn't written him a single letter in the 4 years he's been gone. And he had written her 3 with no response, which is why he stopped writing. And I guess it takes 5 months for mail to go from India to London. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And today people get upset when Amazon can't deliver overnight. You get 5 months.
Well, when you want Amazon Prime, when you pay for Amazon Prime, it means Prime.
They advertise overnight shipping. Anyways, but it doesn't matter that he didn't write. She's happy he's home, and so will his mother be. So is that proper? So will his mother be.
So will his mother be.
And his mother will also be happy that he's home. He offers her the fire to warm up by, but she'd rather go back to her room, and the vibes are awkward and not super friendly and welcoming. Then they finally have pleasantries where they comment that, like, you look well, so do you, but it feels difficult. Francesca thinks about how when they last saw each other, quote, they'd all been in pain then, wounded animals lashing out at anyone in their way, end quote. And that's what's like tough about grief. It does kind of tear people apart kind of, if you're not careful.
Yeah, but also
really
her, like, this maybe, I don't know if this is insensitive. I really don't. But I feel like Michael is very self-aware about how his behavior the last time he saw her was really, like, every time he does something, he knows that it's probably not the right thing. And I feel like he's super self-aware, at least in his own mind, which thank God. Francesca has zero self-awareness. Like, she has no understanding that, like, her pushing Michael to have basically take John's place, you know, in that moment, in the way that she did it was kind of insensitive and not super healthy or great, or like maybe would make Michael feel some sort of way.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't consider Michael's feelings in those moments.
She kind of lacks that a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, see that. I can see general. That. I love Francesca, but that's her flaw for sure.
I could see that. She was hoping they'd be able to move past those horrible days when they were lashing out at each other. She notices that he's changed. Yes, in appearance, he's scandalously tan. I guess he can't be tan. I guess that's not good.
It's not a good thing.
And has silver streaks in his hair, but also the way he carries himself. Where he always used to be so at ease, his body is now taut and strained. I wonder why. Then Michael asks Francesca what she's doing here so early in the season. She just shrugs and says she felt like it. This is when he comments on what she's wearing. He said she hasn't changed except her attire, which makes her take a step back, and he's grateful she's setting the boundaries because he probably won't be able to do so. All right. But something was different about her, something that shook him down to his very soul. By the way, I think she was wearing like a light blue robe, or like
it was like a nightgown that was almost sheer.
Yeah, it was like very, very private.
It was scandalous, for sure.
But something was different about her, something that shook him down to his very soul. She had an air of availability about her and a knowledge that John was gone. He was gone, and the only thing keeping them apart was his own conscience. He thinks about undressing her and fucking her in front of the fire, and how even 4 years apart hadn't lessened his desire for her. And then he laughs to himself. And when she tries to ask what he's laughing about, he says, quote, "Francesca, there are some things you will never understand." Okay, which is fucking rude because you wouldn't let her understand.
Yeah, but I wouldn't tell her either.
No, he would just be like, "Oh, just something that happened in India."
Yeah, he could have said that for sure.
Or on the boat on the way here that I've been on for like 5 months.
He's definitely pushing it a little bit because I think in his mind, he's like, "Oh, I know John's dead and I know I shouldn't do this." But now he's like, there isn't. Yeah, like he said, the boundary is gone. So I can be a little bit more cheeky.
Yeah, but it is awkward because it's the middle of the night and it's like their first time seeing each other in 4 years.
In 4 years, yeah.
She's stung by his words and says, "You've changed." Then he apologizes and blames his travels, which good. She touches his arm in understanding and he's like, "Oh, I need to go to bed." He rings the bell for the footmen so they can get a bedroom set up for him, and he's afraid to be alone with Francesca for any longer. Not while she's wearing that nightgown. And he yanks the cord again, which was funny. He's like, "I gotta get out of here." He's like yanking on the cord to ring the bell. And she explains she was angry with him when he left, and that's why she did it right. And he apologizes. And she couldn't know how guilty he felt at assuming John's life. But it wasn't her fault. And he says, "I'm sorry" again. And she accepts it and admits she should have written. Francesca muses on the life her and John and Michael and his hypothetical wife would have had.
Oh, yeah.
So she thinks about if Michael would have gotten married and how the four of them would have just lived this wonderful life together. And Michael says, "I miss him," and it felt good to voice that. Talking about John, obviously. Then his rakish charms come out again for a second, and she says, "Same as ever, I see." And he says, "No one ever really changes, Francesca." That's a good quote. And then she leaves, telling him it was truly good to see him again. Overall, an awkward scene in the library.
It was rough. It was really rough.
Yeah, and it lasted a long time, and I just need to drink water.
It did last a long time. It lasted entirely a little bit. Actually, I kind of understand why it lasted so long. It's long for a reader, but I can understand why it would be so long in like a regular situation. I just don't think I'll ever truly understand. Maybe I'm stupid, but like
No.
Not stupid. I shouldn't say stupid, but I've always had a sixth sense in a way where like I can tell if someone is attracted to me. And I feel like most women have that.
Yeah, I could agree.
How she's never had that tingling spider feeling in any sense of her body, that this man has feelings or at least is attracted to her.
Yeah, especially when he said something about like what she was wearing, her outfit.
Well, yeah, and they always have these very like cheeky, flirty conversations, and men just don't do that unless they're at the very least attracted to you.
Right. Yeah. And that's always been their relationship. So I don't know. Maybe she's just a little blinders on.
She's got the friend blinders for sure.
Maybe. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 starts out with a letter that Francesca had started to write in response to Michael's first after moving to India, which ended up torn to pieces and soaked with tears. So we do learn that she tried to write him, but she had trouble.
Yeah.
She struggled with it.
I actually don't blame her for not writing him back because he was a little out of pocket.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It was
leaving is crazy.
Yeah, and it was all crazy, and none of it's good, and it's all sad.
Yeah.
The next morning, Francesca left a note saying she has to live with Violet at number 5 until his and John's mothers arrive. They can't live alone together. But she does ask him to call on her at number 5. They had a lot to talk about, which he agrees. He walks there, and during the walk, he feels similarly to how he did when he first arrived in India, assaulted by the feel of the air, the smells, the sights, and the sounds. He feels like an outsider, a stranger in his own land, which was interesting. He'd been to number 5 before. Violet is perfect. And she, quote... I just didn't like...
No wonder our Edmund is so obsessed with Violet because this is how we talk about Violet.
Yeah.
Random in the middle of the sentence. Violet is perfect.
Like, just the punctuation was off. I didn't put any in there.
Went to number 5. By the way, Violet's perfect. If we didn't remember, she's perfect.
She's perfect. So,
yeah.
Okay, he'd been to number 5 before because Violet is perfect, and she, quote, had always defined the word family in the widest of all possible manners. So Michael had found himself invited, along with John and Francesca, to any number of Bridgerton events. So I love that.
Now that makes a ton of sense.
Because Violet's perfect, because
I kind of would have loved if it just said
Violet's perfect.
he went to number 5. Violet's perfect. By the way. Really quick. Really quick.
As a reminder.
Just as we have to have at least every episode reminder of Violet being perfect. Even when we're done with the series, just like randomly and like different things.
Remember Violet from Bridgerton?
She's perfect. Don't you think?
So good.
Yeah.
He meets Violet in their drawing room and flirts about 5 pages with her, but it feels fine and good, and it's cute and it's funny and it feels respectful. Violet calls him a danger to unmarried women everywhere. And then Francesca walks in on them flirting, but scolds him only half-heartedly. Things are going well. He was once again the reckless charmer, and Francesca was pretending to scold him. Things felt like they did before John died. He was trying his best to be the reckless charmer, so she never suspected his true feelings for her. Violet is endlessly proud of all that Francesca has achieved being Countess and the Earl as well while Michael was gone.
Yeah.
And they love her for that.
Oh, yeah, she is a countess, isn't she?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So. It is all crazy. He takes this in stride and compliments how well she's done making her blush, which he's only seen her blush like once ever before. He was enjoying himself and starting to think it's good to be home. An hour later, him and Francesca go for a walk around Hyde Park and the Serpentine, and they witness Edwina going into the water. No, they don't.
Just kidding.
God, I wish for an overlap like that.
That would have been incredible.
So good. Francesca thinks how she might end up with a ghastly tan or at least freckles. Porcelain skin is all the rage. Tans are gross.
Tans are gross.
It's crazy to think about it like that.
It really is, though. Yeah, especially with how desirable it is, like kind of in our day and age. Yeah.
Like being pale is like
yeah,
frowned upon.
Yeah.
Is that the good term? But whatever, every skin tone's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really doesn't matter. Yeah. But people do desire to be tan.
Yeah. Like, just put sunscreen on. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just wear sunscreen.
I'd rather be pale, if I'm honest.
I'd rather just not get burnt if I go outside. That's all. That's all I care about.
Honestly, it's the bare minimum. I just don't want to be burnt.
Yeah, that's all. They talk about how Michael is still talked about in London because of how terrible his reputation is. And he's shocked, but acknowledges how silly that is since he screams that reputation into the world. Oh, he's like, oh my God, people still talk about me? He's like, yeah. Like that's the only thing that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Like, true. Of course they do.
100%.
They talk about if he'll take up his seat in Parliament. It's what John would have wanted. You'll have to get married, of course. And he's like, why are we talking about this? I've been back one day. Promise me you won't play matchmaker for at least 1 week. He's still uncomfortable that she continues to bring up his rakish ways and his reputation. And she says, quote, of course you have a terrible reputation, but you are endlessly charming, and so you are always forgiven. And I feel like that is Michael right there.
Yeah.
She tells him he's going to be assaulted with single women and that Hyacinth and Eloise won't suit. She's over that endeavor.
100%.
Yeah. She wants to introduce him to our Penelope. And he recalls a slightly pudgy girl who never spoke and asks if she's learned to speak. I'm fixing to fight, Michael.
Yeah, you say one more fucking word about that one. I sort of go, it'll pinch you in your fucking face.
Francesca says she's going to ignore that and says Penelope is perfectly lovely and super smart once you get past her initial shyness. And he's like, well, how long does that take?
Okay, seriously, if he says one more thing. Say one more thing, Michael. Say one more thing.
This is when he makes her promise not to play matchmaker for at least a week. He makes her laugh and it warms his heart. And he says it's good to be back and realizes he means it. Francesca wants to spend time by the Serpentine and wishes she had bread for the birds. And he's surprised by that because it's always filled with shrieking children. And there was always a chance of getting pelted by a solid ball of bread by a budding little cricket player. That's what he said. It was funny. They sit on a bench together and chat, and Francesca falls silent and is watching a nursemaid pushing a pram. And then she tells Michael, I want a baby.
Dun, dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun.
Okay, chapter 7.
I thought she was going to be like, are you up for the task?
Oh my God.
I want a baby.
I don't know what I don't remember what I was thinking when I read that, but for whatever reason, I did not think she was going to say, I want a baby. I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Like, that's great that she opened up to me. I just didn't think that was what she was going to say. Yeah. Chapter 7. Michael writes to Francesca 6 months after he arrived in India, inquiring about why he hasn't heard from her yet. He has written her since arriving, and he is writing again to check in and see how she is. Francesca tells Michael that she wants a baby. He is beyond shocked by this at first, but then realizes, well, of course she wants a baby. She's a woman.
Don't all women want babies?
Literally, and that's actually dead at, like, spot on. Like,
he's like, oh yeah,
what he thinks in his mind. Yeah, he's like, of course she wants of course she wants a baby.
So dumb,
she's
Michael.
A woman. Yeah, I'm like, Michael. The Penelope talking now. This
2 strikes.
We're gonna need, that's 2 strikes
and 1 walk. Jesus, cool it.
She tells him that's why she came to London early this year to shop for a husband. She was 26 years old, and after trying with John to have a baby, she only got pregnant after 2 years. And even then, it was a miscarriage. By the way, this is not reflecting my thoughts. I don't want to say that's like an opinion or anything like that, but this is how she feels. Like, it took her a long time to get pregnant, and then when she did, she felt like she failed. But that's not failing. You're amazing out there, anyone that's trying, and it takes a little while. The plan is there. It will happen. We love you all. And if you have ever experienced a miscarriage, I'm so sorry. And you haven't failed, you're amazing. Like, stay strong. I don't know what to say.
I know you would know better than me. I've never been pregnant.
Yeah, just you just know that it will happen. I don't know if it will happen with time will ever like help anyone get through something like that. Just keep the ones that you love close and lean on them for support. And I hope and I pray that if that's what you're wanting, and you want to keep going and trying with it, that it happens for you. We love you. Okay, bye.
All right.
I'm sorry.
That was a good PS. I loved it.
It was a little impromptu. I apologize.
I love it.
Okay. So she felt like she needed to get started looking for a husband right away if she was going to be successful having a child. She wasn't looking for love, just someone that she felt a companionship. Mm-hmm. She says that she can't mourn John forever. Well, she will mourn John forever. She'll miss him forever, but it was time to move on.
Of course. Okay.
She quickly turned to him, and for the first time, she noticed how strikingly handsome he was.
Out of nowhere.
Out of literally nowhere.
It's like, I'm looking for someone to marry. Like, oh, you're a man.
You're hot. You're really hot. Oh my God. Why haven't I noticed this before? She's like sweating. This freaked her out though so much. It freaked her out so much that she made up an excuse of shopping so she could get the fuck out of there immediately. Ooh. Francesca came home and asked her mother if they could go shopping because she thought to herself, if I'm going to make up the excuse, I'm at least going to follow through with it.
Yeah, might as well go shopping.
Exactly. But at the same time, she did need a new wardrobe because Francesca was ready to be out of her half mourning clothes, which we did talk about this
a little bit last book. Mm-hmm. Mr. Phillip.
I'm sure it's different for men and for women, but black does usually mean mourning. And then I think for women, I guess I don't know if it's different for men, but darker colors like what's a darker color?
Gray. Navy blue,
maroon, maybe like a dark maroon. I don't know. Are considered like half mourning colors. Okay. So that's kind of what she had been wearing.
So is it up to you to determine whether you're in full mourning or half mourning, or is it?
I'm sure for the first year. I think for the first year it is full mourning. So
that's what it said in Sir
wearing
Philip's
black.
Book. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they mentioned it in this one too.
Okay.
And then half mourning, I think lasts as long as
you feel
it.
Okay.
But it is kind of a signal beacon because she's looking for a husband now. So this is kind of a signal beacon if she starts wearing her regular colors.
To the people.
I'm available.
Got it. Yes. I love it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. On their way to the Modiste, Francesca asks Violet why she never remarried. Violet tells her she was so stunned by Edmund's death. And she also never really needed to remarry. She had kind of had everything that she needed. She had, 8 children. It's not like she would have remarried for children. She had all their finances. Yeah.
Don't need anymore.
Yeah, she had a lot of children. She had a lot of her finances were in order, and she was also older than Francesca, quite a bit older, like in her
30s, right?
Yeah, which for this time frame, since they die so young, it's considered older for sure.
Yeah, I'm there.
It's not old now, but
no one's offended.
Yeah. I wasn't even saying that because you're 33, right? Are you 33?
I'm 35.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's not old though. It's not old. I just can't believe that we're that far away from each other in age.
Yeah.
That's actually insane.
I love it.
That is kind of cool. I love it. Okay, sorry.
I feel like it gives a different perspective because I feel like you do bring a lot from that I like from a younger generation that I am like so far removed from.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, like trends change within like 3 years.
Yeah,
like I don't even understand what like 25-year-olds are saying these days.
Exactly.
And that's not that far away from me.
Yeah, at the lake this weekend, there was a bunch of kids, 8th grade, like that age. They were saying like all the weird slang terms like skibbity riz.
Wait, what'd you just say?
Exactly.
What is it?
Skibbity. They say skibbity a lot. Skibbity riz.
And I know what riz is, but skibbity is fucking wild.
And I was trying to ask
them, that's not a real word.
What does that mean? And they're like, I don't know. Ask someone else. None of them could tell me what it meant.
What skibbity meant?
It doesn't mean anything. It's just like a slang term that doesn't mean anything.
At least when we had slang, it meant something.
Right.
Like YOLO meant something to me.
Yeah.
You only live once.
YOLO. That was a good time. Good time.
I can't think of another. Yeet. That meant something to me.
YOLO, yeet, swag. Skibbity riz, toilet, Ohio.
Skibbity doesn't mean anything to me.
No. It's so fucking
And
weird.
if it doesn't mean something to them, they gotta change it.
Yeah.
Because swag, when I said swag, that meant something to me.
Doing some Googling, and those were some of the words that came up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It was interesting.
I said swag with my whole heart, man.
They say skibbity with their whole heart. I'm telling you, dude. They said it like 15 times. And I'm like, what are they talking about?
Oh my God. Okay.
Kids,
oh,
man.
That's so funny. I forgot about swag.
What does swag mean? I thought that's just a shit that you get at like free stuff from people when you're at concerts.
No, that is a term. Like that's swag is like when you have swag, you have like swagger. Like you have like
Riz.
You have like that's like charisma. Yeah. I guess it's similar to Riz. It's like you're just like you're cool.
Your attitude,
like you're chill. You're like you're
that's
vibes.
So funny. Oh my God.
Yeah, that is really funny.
Swag. Oh God. Yeah, I don't say things like that. So
no,
it
I
sounds
don't
so
either.
awkward coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I don't actually think I ever said swag.
I said it with my whole heart.
I think I'm just talking shit.
That's hilarious.
This conversation means a lot to Violet because no one had ever asked her why she never remarried before. None of her children. Yeah. Francesca tells Violet that she wants to have a baby. She doesn't think that she will ever find someone who she loves the way she loved John.
Of course.
And Violet tells her that she may not find someone who she loves like John, but she might find someone she loves in a different way. And I just put a specific quote because I couldn't find a way to word that in the right way.
Okay.
You won't find someone like John, that is true, Violet said, but you might find a man who will suit you equally well, just in a different way.
Yeah, I love that. Violet's so perfect. I love her.
She's perfect. By the way, Violet is perfect.
Yeah.
Fran tells her mother that she loves her and then asks if it's okay if she marries someone who she doesn't love but does like. And Violet says that only she will know the answer to that.
Aww.
Fran wondered how it would make her feel if she met someone who she loved as much as John. Would she feel guilty?
Yeah. Of course you would.
Michael was in a foul mood that evening.
Oh, no.
We're switching to Michael, sorry.
All right.
It happens so suddenly.
It does.
He couldn't get his boots off. So he called for his assistant, Rivers. He noticed something odd about the boots, and Rivers told him they were John's old boots. This freaked Michael out. He was assuming John's old life down to his boots now.
Dang it.
So he asked Rivers to pack up all of John's stuff and I think sell it. I don't know. Get rid of it. Ooh. Tomorrow, though.
It's wild. He's just like, yeah, I found these boots in the house, and I thought you.
And you guys were the same size,
Yeah,
so I figured you'd be
what's
fine
the
with
problem?
that. Yeah. I can understand Rivers' thought process.
I mean, it could have went either way. He might not have been weirded out by that.
Yeah, well, because like sometimes people want to wear the people that they love's stuff. It kind of makes them feel close. I had a shirt that my grandma used to wear all the time, and I used to wear it all the time because it made me feel like I was snuggling her again. So I kind of, but then obviously it goes this way.
Yeah,
poor guy. Then he thought of Francesca and how she wanted a baby. It did make him uneasy. He had always seen Francesca and John as a unit, and the thought of her marrying someone else was horrid.
Ugh, not good.
What's worse is he was going to have to witness the entire courting process. He shivered thinking about it. Then he stripped off his clothes and climbed into bed because, quote, it was going to be a long night. And at this point, I had no idea he was supposed to be sick. I just thought he was shivering.
Yeah, I didn't know that even just now.
No, literally, I had no idea. I thought he was just like shivering because he was thinking about her getting remarried. But no, he was in the beginning of sickness. Sick. Chapter 8. This isn't a letter, but a draft of a letter from Francesca to Michael that was never sent. So she tried to write him again, but never sent it.
Yes.
Michael!
As previously mentioned.
As previously stated in my last sentence. Oh, God, I hate it.
That's funny.
Michael is late for the dinner that he promised he would attend at number 5. All of the Bridgerton ladies are waiting for him to arrive. And by Bridgerton ladies, I mean Francesca, Hyacinth, Eloise, and Violet. Francesca was dreading the dinner all afternoon because of their encounter earlier in the day, but makes a great effort to defend him when Hyacinth makes a comment about how, quote, his sort are always late. So rude.
You don't talk about Michael like that.
Yeah. Apparently everyone in the town refers to him as the Merry Rake, and Hyacinth's like, yeah, I know he's a little, like, basically she was like, yeah, I know he's a little slut. Like, sluts are always late.
And wait, and how old is Hyacinth? She's got to be like 24.
Oh my God. So we definitely talked about this when we talked about Francesca and Penelope's book. So it's around this time. So probably anywhere from 18 to 22 is what we said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. We're still there.
Okay.
Still,
We're
still
right
in that
about
year.
the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Francesca is very worried about him because he is rarely late, contrary to what Hyacinth wants to spew, and would never miss a dinner that he promised Violet he would attend because he holds Violet in the highest of regards.
He does. Who wouldn't?
No one. She decides to check in on him at Kilmartin House in London.
Thank you. She didn't go to Scotland. Okay.
Violet is worried about her going over there by herself because she doesn't want her to ruin her reputation, but allows her to go because the rules are different, but also the same.
I don't know.
It's very unclear.
The rules are the same, but nobody cares because you're widowed. I don't know.
Well, it is such a contrast, in my opinion, to like what we see in the show. Like the widows in the show are very free to do kind of whatever the fuck they want sexually.
Okay.
And we see that in the show, and I am curious because it doesn't seem to maybe be that way so much in the books, and maybe it's because Francesca is still like she always knew she would remarry, so she wanted to make sure she had a good reputation for when she wanted to remarry. She
wanted
and maintain that, and maybe widows who already have what they need and what they want, who don't intend on ever remarrying, kind of become more free.
Yeah,
in that way,
their reputation is as important, so they don't hold it in as high of regard. to themselves.
Yeah. And at that point, it's not like, what do they care? You know?
Yeah. Oof.
And also, like, men in this time period, like, once you've had sex, you're considered, like, they don't care. Like, they don't seem to care that much.
Wait, what?
They mention it later. They do mention it later. Yeah.
Okay.
But when it seems to me, from what we see in a bit, that when women do marry and end up obviously not being virgins anymore, consummating their marriage, having sex, the other men don't seem to care.
Like, oh, okay.
If they're kind of being a little bit more sexually active, because
like
once you've kind of reached the point of like not purity, they're just like, okay, you're like, they just, I don't know how to explain it. Like, they just don't seem to, they don't seem to care as much if you're off doing like sexually
promiscuity.
Insert big word. Yeah.
Insert big word here. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
Insert big word here. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense though.
When Francesca got to Kilmartin House, she found Michael was in bed with a horrible fever. Let's throw some ice on that really quick. She asked him what was wrong with him, and his responses at first were very cagey. He kept telling her he would be okay tomorrow, and finally he told her that he had malaria.
I have malaria, woman.
I have malaria.
Duh. I was in India for 4 years. Of course I have malaria.
Of course I have malaria. She immediately went into worry mom mode and did everything she could to help him through his fever that night. And he did indeed tell her that everything was better with her there, which is really cute. He's like, I'm
glad that you're here.
Yeah. The next morning, Francesca was awkwardly sleeping in a chair next to Michael's bed. He was touched that she would stay for him, and it did make the first night of his fever so much better. She woke up and asked him more about his sickness. How long had he had it? How many times had he had it? When did he have it before? And how long between each attack is how he says.
Yeah.
Attack. That's how he describes it.
Yeah.
He asked her not to tell anyone. Okay, let's quickly answer these questions.
Okay, yeah.
How long had he had it? I don't remember. How many times had he had it before? 2 times he had an attack before this one. The one before was 6 months before the attack he has right now, and then 3 months before the last attack. So he had it the first time, then 3 months went by, and then he had another one, and then 6 months went by, and we're here now. So probably like he's had it for about a year. No.
Yeah,
a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And malaria is interesting. The way that it described it is it does come on like every couple months or whatever, and you'll get a fever all night, and then it'll break in the morning, and then you'll get like a fever like the following day, like the same thing, and then it just lasts for however long it lasts.
Like about like anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. And then
a while.
And then you recover, and then, if you don't recover, it can
kill
turn
you.
Fatal pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So the attacks get more frequent, and then you're in trouble. And then especially if you go jaundice, I feel like. Did they mention that?
Yeah, they did. When you go jaundice.
Yeah, that's what they're looking out for, the yellow color. So that's a huge thing on their minds.
Yeah.
But I don't think I knew really the ins and outs of malaria before.
No, I didn't either. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, he's going to die.
Probably. Yeah, I thought so too. Immediately I was like, that sounds really bad.
That's not good. Malaria's not good.
It's like one of those sicknesses we have like vaccines for.
Yeah. And it comes from mosquitoes. So in India, it was a lot of bugs and mosquitoes and stuff. So
yeah.
And
the climate.
Does it transfer? Like,
no.
Can you catch it? Like,
No. Yeah. I didn't know that. So yeah, she was kind of trying to help him through it, and he was like, "Don't worry, you can't catch it through like the air.
Yeah.
Like I can't breathe on you and you won't get it."
I think you have to get bit by a mosquito that has it.
Yeah.
Or is it blood to blood? I'll look it up.
He thought it would make him a bit more undesirable in the ton, and he preferred that not be the case. He also wanted to keep it from Janet and Helen as well, which Francesca did protest to. Fran did jump up and say she had to go home because she had sent a letter to her mother in the night before, but Violet wanted to check in on him that morning. So she was like, I'll stop by in the morning, because she heard that he was sick. She didn't say like, hey mom, Michael's got malaria, like I'm gonna be here. She's like, he's sick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm gonna just hang out with him.
So in order to keep Violet from Kilmartin House and keep Michael's secret, Fran would need to go back before her mother set out to come to them. He was so touched that he would keep this secret from her mother, of all people. He was like, I expect you to keep it from everyone but your mother. Like, that's crazy. And they tease each other before she left to number 5 with a promise that she would return soon to help him through the next round of fevers. Chapter 9.
Okay.
Francesca was not responding to Michael's letters, and he was writing to inquire about why and let her know that if she does not wish to speak to him, he will leave her alone, but he is always there if she needs. So cute. Francesca was trying to keep Michael's malaria a secret from the Ton. She had selected only the most loyal staff to be working while he was having his attack. But her family was so much harder to keep the secret from than anyone else.
Of course.
Hyacinth and Francesca were having breakfast. Hyacinth was annoying the shit out of Francesca, as sisters are prone to do. Violet joined and told Francesca that she was going to stop by to see Michael today and check in on him. Francesca tried to talk her out of it, but Violet did not budge. Hyacinth had also decided that she would join her mother to visit Michael as well. Because she's Hyacinth. Yeah, I'm coming too. Knowing that she was not going to win this argument, Francesca decided to go to Kilmartin House early in London to prepare Michael.
Had to get some makeup on, put some color in his cheeks.
Yeah. Where's the blush? We'll see. Violet asked to walk her out, and as they were walking to the door, Violet asked Francesca if there was anything going on between her and Michael. Francesca was absolutely flabbergasted and vehemently denied any romantic involvement.
It's an inference, though. Violet's like, well, are you guys like...
Yeah, she's like...
doing something?
Yeah, is there anything that would be gossiped about in the taunt? And she's like, Mother! No! Violet was only worried about her reputation in the Ton, especially now that Fran was looking to get remarried. Fran left in a hurry, obviously very shaken about Violet's question. When she arrived at Kilmartin House in London, she rushed into the room. She rushed into the room and told Michael to prepare himself for Violet's arrival.
Gotta get ready.
Yeah, girl, you're gonna need to get up and take a shower. A bath. Sorry. Fran was clearly very shaken and told him about what her mother had suggested. She said she couldn't believe her mother would ever suggest such a thing. He would never. She would never. Never.
Not in a couple chapters, certainly.
No, not at least for a day or two. He was kind of annoyed at her denying this allegation with such vigor, so he teased her a bit about it. This rattled her even more, and before Michael could even change, she fled the room. Okay. Which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. Like, don't take your pants off.
Well, because they were like kind of going back and forth, and he went to go take off. Like he was like said something right as he was about to change. He was like, well, I'm about to change, but then like said something. But Francesca very rarely can leave a conversation without having the last word.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, well, that's very weird because she just fled, and like that's not like her to not try and get the last word, and especially when we're having like a little verbal row.
Yeah, and it's just churning up there in her mind. Like,
yeah, 100%
affairs with Michael.
Yeah. She's like, oh my God, his hands, his body. Her mother ended up not visiting Kilmartin House in London that day because Colin.
Thank you.
Because Colin had unexpectedly arrived home from Cyprus.
Oh, look at that.
A little bit of overlapping. Helen and Janet had also arrived to stay in London as well. They did find out about Michael's malaria, but were obviously more than happy to keep it a secret from the Ton.
Okay.
The mothers wanted to see him married off that year, like ASAP.
So regardless if he discloses that to his potential wife.
Yeah,
like, it's not a good thing to have malaria, I guess.
Yeah, no, for
desirable.
Sure. The Ton would kind of view. Yeah, it's definitely not supposed to be like a desirable thing.
No, I imagine that it wouldn't be, but it's just, and they're trying really hard to keep that from everybody.
I think it would honestly make him kind of a pariah.
Yeah,
like, from what the sounds of it is.
Yeah, like you have the literal plague. Stay away from me. Like, why are you even in London? Like, go back to Scotland.
Even though no one else can catch it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Except through blood transfusions and organ transfusions. Wait, what do you?
Organ transplants?
Transplants.
Yeah.
Transfuse my organs over here. From what I Googled earlier.
Okay, that's interesting.
Or like a dirty needle. Or if a mosquito, a mosquito can get it from you.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
then I think that mosquito can give it to someone else.
Got it. So it's basically like a carrier mosquito. Got it.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Malaria.
The Ton were especially excited about the, quote, merry rake returning from India, especially since he had inherited an earldom. Before long, Michael was healed from his malaria and it was time to re-enter society. Janet wanted to take him to the tailor, thinking he was completely free to do so, like his day was all freed up. But to everyone's surprise, he had filled his day with appointments to fulfill his duty as Earl. The mothers and Fran were shocked because it felt as if he had matured into a responsible man overnight. This made Fran uncomfortable because he had become someone she didn't recognize in every way conceivable.
Oh, man.
And she was attracted to it.
Oh, she's like, look at this guy taking the earldom by the horns.
And it made
those
her
silver streaks in his hair, that tan skin.
It would turn me on too. I think she's attracted to a hardworking man. Like that's her thing.
Yeah. And now he's becoming hardworking and ambitious. All right. Chapter 10. Nothing but the markings of a pen tapping on paper. 2 weeks after Francesca received Michael's third letter. So she sat down and thought about it, but didn't write anything down. Francesca is at Violet's birthday party. And it is the same one that Colin and Penelope in their book. The same
Yeah, the one where she dropped the eclair.
Yeah, the one that Benedict had to blackmail Violet for.
Oh yeah, and the one that I'm pretty sure that Lady Danbury made the announcement for Lady Whistledown.
Yeah, I have that in here.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Francesca is being bombarded with questions about where the Earl of Kilmartin is by Portia Featherington because she wants him for Felicity. She's been getting interrogated by all the mamas with girls on the market. Lady Danbury approaches her. Fortunately, Francesca likes her because Lady Danbury is like a people repellent as the people around them disappear at her approach, which sucks.
Yeah.
They banter about Violet's age. They talk about like, how old is she? They talk about in Colin and Phillips's book.
Yeah, they want to know so bad.
Yeah. They talk about where Michael is and how boring the party is and how she is going to do something to liven it up. And
Yikes.
as I was typing, I realized this is where she puts the price on Lady Whistledown's head.
Yeah.
I was like, how is she going to do that? And then I read that. When I read it through, I didn't realize it. But as I was doing my notes, I realized it.
That's so crazy.
This isn't important, but it's so relatable. And I want to mention it. Francesca had 2 eclairs already and hasn't stopped thinking about how she's going to get her hands on another.
Vibes.
Yeah.
Well, apparently all of the sweets at this party was like top tier, except for like one of the sweets. Everyone was like obsessed.
It was like cardboard. Like
yeah.
After more unimportant back and forths, Lady Danbury tells Francesca she deserves a reprieve from her. And Francesca says, Lady Danbury, you are my reprieve, which was really sweet.
Yeah.
She's off to pester Colin, who just returned from Cyprus.
Yay.
As soon as she leaves, 3 matchmaking mamas are already approaching Francesca. She runs away and joins Eloise, Sophie, and Kate, who are talking.
This is my favorite.
Is it? I might not have done it really well, though, so you have to jump in.
Okay.
They start to ask her about Michael, of course, and I think because she has had these new feelings awakened for Michael, she's taking all these questions the wrong way, and she's being snappy and just giving off all the wrong impressions.
Agreed.
And the girls are basically like, what the fuck is up with you?
Yeah.
Kate realizes Francesca's wearing blue and asks, does that mean you're out of mourning? Does that mean you're looking to remarry? Yeah. And Francesca says yes, and they all congratulate her and offer her advice. They're all really excited. And she doesn't want to hear it, but knows they have all the best and most loving intentions, so she accepts. Kate says they have to get the word out, as men wouldn't notice the color of Francesca's dress, like as a hint. Like we could dye Sophie's hair black and no one would notice. And then Sophie says, well, Benedict would notice.
Okay.
And then Kate says, well, yes, he's your husband. And besides, he's a painter. He's trained to actually notice things.
I think the sentence was like, he's a painter. He has to have like excellent attention to detail or something. Like I think they literally said attention to detail.
No, I quoted it.
Oh, was that what it was?
It says he's trained to actually notice things.
Oh my God. It's still it's okay.
It's funny because
she's trolling us. Julia Quinn's trolling us.
It's funny
she's
because
trolling us.
He didn't know that Sophie was the lady in silver until she had something covering her eyes.
Yeah, no, she's got to be trolling us. That's fucking ridiculous.
It was hilarious. I loved it.
Oh my God.
They talk a bit more, and Francesca announces she wants one more eclair, and all the good sweet stuff is gone, and she deflates because the promise of a sweet was the only thing keeping her going at the moment. So relatable. All the cake's gone. Damn.
I know.
I'd
leave the party.
I wrote down, this is the most relatable thing Julia Quinn has ever written.
100%. This, and when she wrote Posey's like little bit about her wanting the biscuits.
Thinking about the biscuits. Yeah.
She knows how to write a woman wanting food.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
I can relate on that level.
Facts.
Michael finally shows up and they comment on his tan, and Francesca is again answering in a way that they ask her if her and Michael had a falling out. And she's like, of course not. Then they talk about how handsome he is, and Francesca is shocked Kate and Sophie are making those comments. They're like, oh my God, how are you talking about other men like that? You're both married.
Yeah, this feels like a reverse Lucy moment with the guys. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's hitting the same for me. It's not... I just don't see this as as gross as... Well,
no, because they targeted Lucy because of her boobs.
Her boobs, yeah.
And Michael's just handsome.
Just an objectively handsome person.
Not married.
Agreed.
He's available and looking for a wife.
Okay. Maybe it was just me because I was like, I don't know. This does not feel
It's different. It's a little different. Then Eloise says something about him, and Francesca tries to say how they wouldn't suit. You would never be happy with him, etc. She's like, why can't I marry him? Like, oh, you wouldn't suit. She doesn't even want to greet him because it would do nothing for her chances of finding a husband, but she probably should for appearance's sake. She thinks about how she'd always found Michael's reputation funny because of how far removed she was from it as a happily married woman, but it feels different now that she's single and ready to mingle. That was in there. She's lost in thought and delaying the inevitable, but eventually makes her way over, and Eloise whispers coward in her ear as she passes, which is funny. And she won't be a coward over Michael of all people. Chapter 11. Francesca writes to John 10 months after Michael's departure to India, admitting she had not written back to him yet. So she's writing to her poor John, who's gone.
I just wanted to say really quick, I love the dynamic between Kate and Sophie.
I love Kate and Sophie's friendship. I want, spinoff.
It was interesting because obviously they're not sisters. So and they didn't really know. Sophie got to spend so much time with the other... They are sisters, but they're not blood sisters. Yeah. And Sophie got to spend so much time with Francesca and Hyacinth and Eloise. Yeah. And obviously became very close to them, but we never got to see the friendship between Kate and Sophie develop. And I feel like they're very close. At least that's the impression that I
got those vibes too, and I love that.
And I kind of also love that Sophie notices everything. I don't know if you've noticed, but she's always the one to point things out. We don't see a lot of Kate, to be fair, but she was the one to point out just Eloise's vibe in her book.
Oh, right.
And how she likes whoever. She's the one that pointed out that Francesca was wearing different colors. Mm-hmm. She's always the one I feel that's very observational, but she's also very soft spoken. She reminds me of she does remind me a little bit of in their group, she'd be the Posey. Does that make sense? She's the more or the Elaine.
Just maybe behind, here's the group, and then she's just outside of it, but still in.
And then I feel like Kate's kind of like Vanessa.
I could
Do you see that?
Yeah.
She's just very strong-willed, and she's a little bit more cunning and a little bit more I don't want to say devious because I don't mean that, but just get the vibe where she's just kind of mischief.
Yeah.
And, mayhem a little bit.
I could see that.
And then I don't know, Eloise is off doing her own damn thing, but I love Eloise. I don't necessarily see her as the Elaine, but I just kind of see them as that type of vibe for each other, and I'm just obsessed with that.
I like it. Yeah, please give us a scene with Kate and Sophie. Write it in.
I just feel like they get along so well.
litlibationspodcast@gmail.com. I want stories.
I do too.
Okay. We're at Michael's POV. They're still at Violet's birthday party. He spots Francesca right away, knows when she leaves the room, and knows when she'll return. Her presence is like a beacon, like Anthony's was to Kate at one point.
100%.
Quote, it was one of the things he had most enjoyed about India. She wasn't there. He never had to be aware of her, but she'd haunted him still. Every now and then, he'd catch a glimpse of chestnut hair that caught the candlelight as hers did, or someone would laugh, and for a split second, it sounded like hers. His breath would catch, and he would look for her, even though he knew she wasn't there while he was in India. Can you imagine?
No.
I'm just getting a little bit of excitement and realizing no, of course that's not her.
Yeah, she wouldn't be in India.
No. But that's over, and he's back in London, currently amused at all the attention he's getting from marriageable women. He clocks Francesca's blue dress and that it means she's out of mourning and will be looking to remarry. Now he has to watch her be pursued by probably everyone who wouldn't want to marry her. Because every time he looked at her, he saw something in her that had him falling all over again. But he's still feeling guilty about the John thing, and he could never have Francesca. There was just too much in the way. She finally comes over, and they say hi. She comments on how he's surrounded by women and clocks that he doesn't enjoy it like she thought he would. Quote, he didn't care if they called him the Mary Rake. He didn't care if they thought him a worthless seducer. But when Francesca said the same thing, it was like acid.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, of course. He doesn't want to
be. And why is she talking about him like that? It's so mean.
I don't know, because she likes him now.
Yeah, but like the way she's saying it, it's like she's making fun of him in like a jokey way. Like she's
like you're a rake.
Yeah, she's joking kind of at his expense. Like you're, I
don't know.
And it just is it's just kind of cruel. Like who would ever talk about their friend like that?
I don't know.
To their face.
Isn't that always been their rapport though? Like he's always been the Mary Rake, and she's always asking him for stories. And
yeah, but I don't feel like he's ever like expressed that he enjoys that. Yeah. Like I feel like she's always just done it, and he's always just kind of eaten it and taken it.
And so now she's seeing that and is surprised.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Francesca is a little bit.
I feel like he's getting more snappy about it.
Yeah,
I do think that.
Yeah. But like you said earlier, maybe she doesn't always take his feelings into account when she talks. No,
agreed. Yeah, 100%.
Anyways, and at the end of the day, it's his fault. He'd created his reputation for years to hide his feelings from her. Francesca kind of talks herself into a hole and insinuates that Michael might ruin a reputation here or there and to be careful, and he takes offense to that. He takes it to mean like he's stupid enough to accidentally ruin someone or that he's too careless. Francesca then blurts out, I think you are one of the finest men I know. She says she's going to be counting all the hearts he's going to break this spring because she won't be able to help herself. And I put it, jump on this opportunity, Michael. Like that is like a green, like a green flag.
100%.
Yeah. Like that. How did you not see
saying
that?
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't say anything. And she just tells him to dance. Yes, with her, but more importantly, other marriageable women. Now his mood shifts because that sounds like he should marry anyone but her. She suggests Felicity. She won't fall in love with him. And he gets offended because why shouldn't he marry for love? He's like, why can't I have that? Why wouldn't you want that for me? Then Francesca gets excited for him. She's like, oh, you are interested in love. But he gets worried and gets short with her and excuses himself, saying he has a Featherington to dance with. They have it back and forth. Francesca always needs to have the last word, like you said, and he got the last word in, and it was a little comedic relief after this kind of awkward exchange.
Yeah, she's like 100% probing. And that's what she's doing. She's trying to probe without making herself too vulnerable, I feel like. And I don't think she's doing it intentionally, but it definitely feels like that's what she's doing. Like doing these little like making fun, joking, like putting him down to see how he'll react. Like, and it's honestly super cruel. Like I think it's super cruel.
Yeah, it was. I hated it.
I don't know.
The next morning, she ponders Michael's reaction to her joy that he wants a marriage with love. And why on earth she said out loud that she would helplessly count his conquests. She enters the drawing room, which is filled to the brim with flowers, and Francesca thought the rules of society had changed and the flowers were from women to Michael. But they're all for her. Confirmed by Priestley, her butler.
Priestley! We love a new butler.
Love a new butler.
We get 2 butlers in this.
Woohoo!
I'm excited.
Who's the other one?
The one that's in Scotland.
Okay.
But I forget his name.
Kilmartin, Scotland.
Yeah.
Me
Kilmartin, Scotland.
She's reading the cards and she's so shocked and so surprised. And then Janet comes in. Janet is John's mother. She's surprised as well and says she seems to be the incomparable of the season, which is crazy because she's so much older than like the women that are coming out. And she's a widow. Francesca asks if all of this bothers Janet. And she smiled sadly and said, quote, do I wish you were still married to my son? Of course. Do I want you to spend the rest of your life married to his memory? Of course not. You are my daughter, Francesca. I want you to be happy. That's so... Oh, I love how...
Not me tearing up.
Francesca doesn't take Michael's feelings into account, but she takes Janet's feelings into account all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
Francesca feels the need to explain that she wants children. Janet nods, but changes the subject, not wanting to move on. Then Michael comes in and he seems annoyed at the flowers, makes fun of a suitor for sending roses, makes fun of another for being poor. He's like, Jesus, we have to open a window. It's so smelly in here.
Yeah, he's so bad.
It was. And then Francesca asks, are you jealous? And she's like, not over me. Oh my God. But jealous that they both have the same goal this season. And she seems to be the one that's like relentlessly pursued.
Yeah.
Then he says, quote, a man would have to be a fool not to want to marry you. And then I was like, go Francesca, take this opportunity. Like that's a sign.
Yeah, but I feel like she like doesn't even realize her feelings. So he's hopelessly like wanting her, and like he needs to recognize those signs, but she doesn't even know it within herself. So how can she recognize what he's saying to her?
Yeah, her wheels are turning,
I mean?
but she's not there yet.
Yeah. She's the lights are on and she's like in the driveway.
She's got a blindfold on.
She's not quite in the house.
Yeah. She's taken aback at the kindness though, and he says she should be happy and he won't get in the way of that. He's not angry at the flowers. He just seems more hollow. Then he apologizes for last night, and Francesca wonders what exactly he was apologizing for. Chapter 12 starts out with Michael writing a full letter to John 1 year and 2 months after he left for India, but then slowly burning the whole thing over a candle. In it, he said, quote, it is almost possible to pretend that you are still alive, but then someone calls out to me, and I am reminded that I am Kilmartin, and you are in a place unreachable by the Royal Mail. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's really sad, actually.
Yeah.
Got me tearing up again.
I know, me too. Michael is at his club drinking whiskey, thinking about why he snapped at Francesca at her excitement that he wants to find love. An acquaintance from his days at Cambridge, Jeffrey, approached him and wants to confirm that Francesca is looking for a husband. He's excited about it because A, I think she has an amazing reputation as an individual and as a Bridgerton, and B, Michael just said he would dower her, and apparently so will Anthony, meaning she'll have a double dowry, which Jeffrey is clearly interested in. Then Jeffrey goes on to say things like, you'll be glad to get rid of her. She has to be a burden on you. Michael wonders what the punishment is for strangling a knight of the realm. And this time I agree 100% and I'm not mad.
No,
I'm like, strangle this man.
100%.
Then he's off to spread the news. And as soon as he does, another guy approaches him. And this guy's name is Troublesome. He's the guy who sent the yellow roses, which was like,
was he the poor one?
fucking dumb. No, he was the yellow roses one.
Oh, got it. I couldn't remember which one was the poor one.
I don't know either. He basically tells him he is going to court Francesca, and he wasn't sure whether to tell him or Anthony. And Michael's like, I'll suffice. And then this motherfucker named Hardwick comes over.
Hardwick. Fuck that guy.
And he starts disrespecting Francesca's honor. Side note, he did notice Francesca was wearing blue, indicating she was out of mourning. So some of them noticed things. Anyway, initially he says she's a good woman, and he'd go after her himself if he wasn't already shackled to Lady Hardwick. He called John old, even though he was only 28, and he says he died 6 years ago, and he said it's only been 4 years. And then he's like, what's the difference? Like, it doesn't matter how long ago he died. What's the difference? He's just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Then he says, it's not like you're getting a virgin who knows what to do. And this even pissed me off. And I was giddy that Michael might actually hit this man. And guess what? He doesn't. He tackles him to the ground, strangles him, and says, I will not tolerate anyone speaking so disrespectfully about Lady Kilmartin. He tries to leave, but then Colin intercepts him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to talk to Colin because out of anyone, he would be the one to glean Michael's feelings for Francesca.
Yeah.
He's not quite sure what to expect from this conversation, but Colin thanks him for defending his sister's honor. And he's like, duh, that's my bitch. Then Colin is like, why don't you just marry her? This is so interesting. And Michael is kind of sputtering all the reasons why he can't marry her. He still wrestles with his guilt at having always loved her, but he thinks John's death had given him wealth, power, prestige, and a title of Earl. If it also gave him Francesca, like, how could he live with himself?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Colin says she'll marry anyway. Like, what if it's someone shitty? It seems to me that Colin 100% clocks Michael's feelings for her, and he approves and is giving him his blessing to marry her.
100%.
In like a roundabout way.
Although I will say Colin was giving Butler energy in this scene. Did you notice that?
The way he's just like he's just dancing around the issue.
He was playing with him like a cat, like a mouse.
Yeah.
Cat and a mouse. Like just verbally, and it was painful. It's so painful when they do this. I hate this. I'm like, and it was, Michael's like, get to the point, man.
Yeah, and he's like
sitting
in a chair casually, like sipping on whiskey.
Yeah.
Just like,
like alluding to things, and then like not saying them outright. Oh God, I was getting annoyed.
Yeah. Michael finds an excuse to leave because Colin is so charming and relaxed, and one more moment with him will have Michael spilling all of his secrets to him. Before leaving, Colin says, think about it. Think about what I said. And I haven't read the second half yet, but I just know this is what really gets Michael's gears turning, that marrying Francesca will turn out to be all right. And that's the end of the chapter. But it is interesting that Colin has literally, I don't really remember the scene at the duel with Anthony and Simon, but Colin did run there with Daphne. So he was there when like they had decided to marry.
Well, and that's like, Colin is very pivotal, and I feel like Penelope is too in almost every single one of their love stories.
It's so interesting. Like Julia Quinn must have some sort
of
she must have
connection.
Written them about like herself or someone she knows or loves or something.
100, yeah, it's got to be, because Colin is connected to every single love story.
I was gonna say
up until this point, at least.
Anthony's.
And even Penelope is as well. She's mentioned in every single book, every single one. She has a relationship with a friendship. Well, not really with Daphne. I don't think she was mentioned, but I don't think she had as much of a
right. Yeah.
But then Kate, she had a good relationship with, a pretty strong relationship with. She had a relationship with Sophie.
Yeah, she met Kate in the hallway at Aubrey Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, and then also obviously Eloise, and now her and Francesca obviously have a very good relationship. So I just think it's interesting that
both of them,
they're just both, very entwined with everyone's love story.
Yeah. And then when Anthony ran away to the club, Colin was there and Benedict were there, and they're like, why can't you marry her? Yeah. And then same thing with Benedict when it was her turn, like, well, why can't you? And now he's like, well, why can't you marry Francesca? That's so interesting.
100%.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because it took him 10 years to realize that he liked Penelope.
Yeah, no one was there for him in that same way. Like, why can't you marry Penelope? It was Daphne, actually.
Well, Daphne was, and then Anthony was. Well, not when it came to marrying, but I mean, he had support of his family. He had support with Anthony with Penelope's situation, and then also, obviously Daphne when it came to loving her.
It just took 10 years.
Yeah, true.
Okay. What's your quote of the week?
In every life, there is a turning point, a moment so tremendous, so sharp and clear that one feels as if one's been hit in the chest, all the breath knocked out, and one knows, absolutely knows, without the merest hint of a shadow of a doubt, that one's life will never be the same. For Michael Sterling, that moment came the first time he laid his eyes on Francesca Bridgerton.
Was that the first chapter of the first paragraph of the first chapter?
It might have been.
I think it was. That was a good one. That was a popular highlight.
It was really, I mean, it's just like,
it's so true too.
I just kind of am obsessed. So far, we haven't had someone who, maybe Philip a little bit. He didn't fall in love with Eloise that quick, but so far we haven't had someone who just sees someone and is just fell deeply in love, like immediately. I don't think that's very realistic. I don't think it happens very often, but I kind of love a love at first sight type situation. Well, actually Benedict and Sophie.
With the Lady of Silver.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
But obviously not that much in love because he couldn't recognize her.
It's fucking stupid. Anyway.
I don't think we're ever going to get over that.
No, I'll mention it until probably long after the series is over. Anyways.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, the love at first sight. I do love that Michael, he was there for Francesca the moment he saw her. Locked eyes. He's like, shit, I like that.
Well, yeah.
It's very different feel from the rest of them. I don't know. Simon and Daphne had a connection right away. It was just not as strong.
Yeah, he thought she was hot, but like he wasn't in love with her, not for a while.
Yeah.
I think that they all thought that their respective significant others were attractive, but like not that like soul crushing, just different type of love.
It's different
immediately. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, Michael's okay. We like Michael. My quote is a little different direction. It's from Hyacinth. She said, "It isn't gossip. It's the honest dissemination of information."
Yeah. Okay. I'm obsessed. I do like Hyacinth a lot. But we did get a little bit of a different side of her. Like when she talked about Michael, she's just a little bit like sometimes she can be almost too direct.
Yeah.
And like almost a little mean.
Yeah.
Which is probably
she's the
about
youngest
her
girl.
Youth.
Yeah. She's supposed to be the youngest girl in a family of 8 children.
But I was kind of like, I don't like that at all.
Also, I don't know. I'm not going to defend Hyacinth. I don't care. It's whatever.
We'll get to her book and figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see how we feel. Oh, it's coming up soon. Who would you be?
Oh, God. I would be probably, oh, my God. Oh, my God.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Let me go first.
Yeah.
I picked the maid or the footman that offered to pool everyone's coal so Francesca could warm her room.
Oh.
They're like, let me get all the coal from everyone's rooms and you'll be warm tonight.
Oh, that's a really good one. That's a really hard one.
This is a tough one.
Who would I be? I don't know. Probably Helen or Janet.
Oh, I knew you were going to go there.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, they're good. They're good people.
They are really good people.
Who would you want to be?
Sophie or Kate, one of the two.
Okay.
They stole a show from me.
I love them. I feel
Sophie
like their story's just beginning now that they're married. We only the story ends when these people get married.
Yeah.
Now they're really coming in their true selves.
Actually, I'm going to say Kate because I know what Sophie's about to go through with her child being sick. So I'm going to say Kate.
I don't want to go through that again.
I don't want to go through that again. I'm good on that.
Oh my gosh.
We'll move on from that.
I picked Francesca. Not because she lost her husband and is about to find another, not because she had a miscarriage, but because she is so clearly valued by so many people in her life. Right now, it's her late husband's cousin and mother, and of course her own mother, sisters and brothers.
No, I do love that.
No.
And I would agree. I couldn't go through the being a widow and have in a span of a month
and then a miscarriage.
Tough.
Who's your favorite character so far?
Dude, there are so many good ones. It's actually sick.
There is good ones. They
sick.
are all good. Helen, Janet, Michael, John.
Yeah. Kate, Sophie.
Eloise.
Colin even.
But Eloise, she hasn't been seen, but
Violet.
been talked about.
Did we talk about Violet?
No. Violet.
The butler. I love them all. Like that's a hard pick for me.
I picked John and Michael.
I'm going to say John, yeah.
Yeah, I wish we'd have got more of him. I read somewhere that Julia Quinn was going to write him and Francesca's love story over 3 chapters to make it hit harder and to really emphasize that they did have a real love and their marriage was good and happy.
I will say that I did feel it.
Yeah,
like,
I did too. She did a really good job.
Yeah,
I felt it too. So I love John and R.I.P. Pour one out for John.
Yeah, John was a good dude.
Yeah.
By the way, he had an aneurysm.
Taken by an aneurysm.
Yeah.
At 28, 8 and 20.
8 and 20.
He wasn't old.
It's a rough year. I'm 8 and 20.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
It's a rough year.
But yeah, Michael. Yeah, we love Michael. He's my favorite love interest so far.
I do like Michael.
I don't think I'll get I don't think one will top it.
No, and I can honestly kind of understand like the, slutting around because you're in love with someone you can't have.
Yeah, and I don't even care about it. It's like whatever.
Yeah, I don't actually care about it either.
I don't know why. Maybe they just wrote him she wrote him in such a way that I just didn't care. I don't know.
I don't really care either.
It's interesting.
He does have a little bit of a temper and he's a little bit erratic.
In
sometimes.
The next half. For sure.
This one a little bit too, I think. I mean, I can understand it after John passed, but even just like kind of when he came back, I still feel like he was a little erratic behaviorally, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
There's a lot of weird things in the next half, but
that's okay.
We'll get into it next week.
We'll move on from that.
Yeah.
I still love him.
I'll say I have a note that says, I love Francesca. She just seems so sweet and so strong, and she's very aware of other people's feelings and takes them into account. And what I was talking about is when she told Janet she wanted a baby, and she was like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, and I do think that she does. I just feel like
just not when it comes to Michael.
I feel like Michael has established himself, or whether I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the line it's been established that Michael is some sort of a punching bag verbally for her or for whoever. I mean, maybe for everyone in a way.
Yeah,
almost kind of in the way that Colin does it kind of in a way. He does it more in a different way. I don't think he's a punching bag, but he likes to make people happy. This is, I feel like, Michael's way of doing that, of being Mary, is being a punching bag. He kind of shits on himself a little bit in the beginning.
He takes the brunt of the jokes.
Mm-hmm. And I think at this point, since he's been gone, and maybe this is because he came to the realization that maybe he doesn't want to be a punching bag anymore, especially not for someone like Francesca, who he does love, and he wants to make her happy, but not at the expense of his of him and his own feelings,
right? Yeah,
which I think is so valid.
Of course.
But yeah, I definitely feel like she got into the habit of making him a punching bag, which makes me sad.
Yeah. Hopefully she comes out of it. I think it takes confession. I read, or I listened to most of the second half, and I had a lot in my mind while I was reading, so I was kind of spacing in and out, and backtracking 4 minutes. So we'll see how next week goes.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. I liked it.
Yeah.
They always have the one weird scene where some weird tragedy happens and they have to spend time together.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Who's your least favorite character?
Hardwick.
Oh, I pick Hardwick too. Fuck him.
For sure.
Fuck you, Hardwick.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Off as well.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts on this half?
I'm just excited to get into, honestly, this has kind of been the first Bridgerton book in the series where not only I've been interested from the beginning of it to the end. The first half, I think, was just I don't want to say exciting. That's not the word I'm looking for. Was just as interesting and engaging as the second half.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And so I am excited for the second half.
Yeah. I want to get my hands on a physical copy because some of these scenes are just really long, and I just want to count the pages.
They are. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, next week we are finishing up this little gem hidden inside this series. That's what I said.
Seriously.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Please go rate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Send in fan art. If you feel like you still want to send in ACOTAR fan art, please do. And fanfic. Kate and Sophie, this one.
Yeah.
Give us some more of John and Francesca.
Please.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at litlibationspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and I'm still working on the website. I created a Patreon.
Oh,
yesterday.
That's exciting. This is actually news to me. So
yeah. You'll have to help me set it up. But
okay.
I don't know what we're really gonna do with that yet. Maybe a bonus episode. But if you have suggestions on bonus content that you want, let us know.
Please let us know.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting. That'll be rolling out soon.
Yeah.
On the website. And go join the Facebook group. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's all.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, you guys.
Bye, guys.
We love you.
Mwah.
Bye.